My dear friends, sit down with me today, because what I'm about to share is not just a story, it is a wound carved deep into my heart. On the happiest day of my daughter's life, her wedding day, the man she chose, the one she called her love, looked me in the eyes and said something I will never forget. The greatest gift for our wedding would be if you disappear from our family. Yes, those were his exact words. Can you imagine? The hall was filled with music, laughter, and blessings, and behind the smiles, a dagger was pushed straight into my chest. But let's not rush. You deserve to know how we got there, why those words cut so deep, and how I, an old man with nothing left but love, found the strength to turn that insult into a lesson he would never forget.
At first, he was polite, too polite. He brought gifts, praised my cooking, and spoke of respect. But slowly, his mask slipped. One evening, as we sat for dinner, he glanced at our modest home and said, "You've done well for yourself, considering your circumstances." The way he said circumstances cut me like a hidden blade. Another time, he looked at my old watch, the one my wife gave me on our wedding, and laughed softly, saying, "Vintage things have charm, but they do show age." My daughter laughed nervously, brushing it off. I stayed silent, because sometimes silence keeps the peace. But I remembered every word. And then came the wedding day. My daughter was radiant, glowing in her bridal dress. I held back tears, remembering her as a little girl in pigtails, running around with scraped knees. The hall was filled with family, laughter, music. For a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, my fears were wrong. But then, it happened. He pulled me aside, away from the crowd. His smile stayed fixed for the guests, but his words, oh, his words were venom. He leaned close and whispered, "The greatest gift you could give us today is to disappear from this family." I froze. My ears rang, my heart pounded. Did I hear him right? I looked at my daughter, my only child, but she turned her eyes away. She heard him. She heard him, and she said nothing. That silence hurt more than his insult. I walked back into the hall, sat quietly, and clapped when others clapped. But inside, I was already gone.
From that day forward, my smile became a mask. On the outside, I was the proud father of the bride. On the inside, I was a ghost, invisible in my own family. I tried to convince myself maybe he spoke in jest. Maybe my daughter's silence was fear, not betrayal. But weeks turned into months, and the truth revealed itself. He controlled everything: where they lived, who they visited, how much time she spent with me. He discouraged her from calling me. When she did, her voice was cautious, hurried. One evening, I overheard him on the phone, laughing with his friends. "Her old man, he's nothing but baggage. Once he's out of the picture, everything will be mine. Mine, mine, mine." That word echoed in my ears. Friends, do you know what it's like to be erased while still alive? To watch your daughter slip further away, not because of choice, but because of manipulation? One night, I fell ill. Chest pain gripped me. I thought it was the end. I called my daughter. She didn't pick up. I called again. Her husband answered. He said, "Stop bothering her. She has her own life now. Don't drag her down with your weakness." Then he hung up. I lay there, alone, trembling, wondering, Was this truly the same man my daughter vowed to love? I recovered slowly, but something inside me changed forever. I realized silence was no longer protection. It was surrender. And I would not surrender. I began preparing quietly. He thought I was weak, finished, useless, but he forgot. Age does not kill wisdom. Every coin, every property, every document I had, I secured. Not for him, not for his greed. I met with lawyers, updated my will, redirected my assets. Some to charity, some to loyal relatives, but nothing to him. Then I began to disappear. I stopped calling, stopped visiting. To the world it seemed I accepted his wish that I had vanished. He was pleased, too pleased. He thought he had won. Years passed. One day he called me, his tone suddenly sweet. "Father," he said, "we should reconnect. Family is important after all." Family, now it mattered to him? I knew why. My health had weakened. Rumors spread that my end was near. He smelled inheritance like a wolf smells blood. Finally the day came, the reading of the will. He and my daughter sat there, confident, smug. He held her hand, but his eyes gleamed with greed. The lawyer opened the documents. His smile widened until... "To my beloved daughter I leave memories, lessons, and love. But as for my wealth, it shall go to charities and those who stood by me in loyalty." Gasps filled the room. His face turned pale. My daughter's eyes widened. The lawyer continued, "Nothing is left for the man who asked me to disappear from his family. For him I grant his wish. I disappeared from his inheritance." The room fell silent. His jaw clenched, fury boiling, but he could do nothing. The law was sealed. My revenge was complete. My daughter wept. She realized too late the cost of her silence. She begged me for forgiveness, holding my frail hands. And I forgave her, because she was my child, my blood, my heart. But him, no. Forgiveness is a gift reserved for those who regret. He regretted nothing except losing money. I left him with the emptiness he tried to give me. So, my friends, listen well. Respect is the greatest inheritance. Love is the only true gift. Wealth fades, property crumbles, but the dignity you give or take from someone lasts forever. My son-in-law wanted me gone. Instead, I left him something far heavier, the weight of his own greed. And now I ask you, if you were in my place, would you have forgiven him? Or would you have done as I did, grant his wish and disappear from his life forever? Tell me your truth in the comments below.